No one is volunteering.
No? Alright.
Yes, but this would tie into Forge's quest to scout the Hammerfall for suspicious activities.
Yes, the thought is if we find nothing that we would need the army for, I think that's what we're going to send them to do while we're here.
Yeah. It's sad that we don't have an additional army to do the second objective.
Yeah, I suppose. But, you know, so be it.
Yeah, we can probably bring the entire fleet up.
No, that would not go well.
If you're willing to spend some of your own money on that, Dark, yeah?
Yeah, my money.
Alright. Your money, your problems.
Could we get like multiple Paladin armies if we have more dice? Or is it a one-time thing?
It's not a one-time thing. You could get some more companies. But as for now, you can only spring for one. I mean, you could, like, maybe, like, try to do more, but then you'll have to spend time, like, diplomatic intrigue and haranguing, and then people are gonna be like, who are you? I'm Geráck Zold. Oh, that Zold.
Well,
Then they're gonna reference your family and all the terrible things your father's done. Then they're gonna look at Aurelia and know who she is. Get that association with
really
you.
awkward and
I mean, at that point, you might as well just go to the Queen's Wood and fucking engage in political intrigue there, right?
Yeah.
I think someone here might enjoy that.
I mean, you know, not that great. It's not, you know. I guess you foreigners, you'd have fun for a while.
Yeah, but I was also thinking how long we're gonna continue this session for.
Maybe another 40 minutes or 50. Probably go to the 5-hour mark.
Alright.
I don't know, it's up to you folks, but I figure that at least you want to see what's up there in Moonwreck. Unless you,
I
Nice.
want to see the critical plot information.
So we can see if it's like, oh, fuck, we're just going home now, or if it's like, oh god, the white has been returned and it's like a Dragonlich. Yeah, I say we head north then with our recruited paladins and go into Moonwreck to scout out. Is there reason to bring them, or should we just send them directly to scout the mountains?
Well, according to the objective here, we don't need an army to just look around. On the other hand, having an army seems very handy.
Yeah, but it might
We can't
also
really sneak around them, but
Yeah.
we can't really
That's-
do that.
that's
Either way,
true.
so...
let me tell you what Dwarven Paladins can't do.
Yeah.
But Dwarven Paladin's probably good at scouting the mountains, right?
It's
They,
their home
as a matter of
territory.
fact, they would literally be the best people other, like, because this is their home. So, like, you're very much
And they
telling them,
maybe
like,
also want to do it anyway.
yes, like, look a bit to your west and look a bit to your north and to your east.
Check out what problem your people might have so we can solve them. That would be nice. I mean, just giving them the information might be good enough. Yeah, I think we should send them to do that for now. We can always pull them out of it if it's like a dire need for them.
Yeah, it's
That's
gonna
true,
take them 3 months, or it's gonna be quicker.
I've got no idea how long it's gonna take, but
Because for us it takes 3 months.
For them,
A month.
they'll probably be done by the time you're leaving Moonwreck.
Alright.
Yeah.
They, as it turns out, this is literally the best group that you could send here to scout out this area. They, as it turns out, really do know this pretty damn well.
Yeah, home terrain and such. So I guess we'll meet up in Foothold when we're done with both things.
Yes. They will accept that. Let me go ahead and give you a token for the Dwarven Paladins.
pay in Dwarf King dice. Two of those.
So how do we get this army back after?
They fucking begin tracking it.
Yeah, I guess.
We'll handle that later.
That is Tempus' old friend. I think. Remember that guy?
He was
Nope.
the guy in
No?
the tavern in Little Drakenhole.
Like, it's like none of these characters have been like seen before, at least as their name. You may have seen the tokens before, though.
Yeah.
There's only so many pieces of artwork on the internet.
Well, I mean, I'm not gonna make a single fucking individual unique token for everyone.
Exactly.
You're not all pretty little snowflakes. Quit bouncing over there, Dark.
Our paladins. Good. They can go scout. And I suppose, yeah, meet the Fortal afterwards. And we'll go to Moonwreck and check out what the Frosters actually said.
Okay. It turns out it's all a lie. Yes.
There's a big sign saying, "Oh, suckers, you wasted all your time."
Alright, the Paladins will walk with you part of the way. An entire company of them, all armored as they are, though not so heavily. They are not sticking to plate. That's battle armor. That's not like walk for fucking 8 hours a day armor. Like in like the hills and mountains.
They're third level paladins. And sensible.
Yes, insensible. They're not player characters who are
You
like
just need to train harder.
need to be yeah, sure, whatever. And after some time, they lead you folks past the beautiful, gorgeous vistas of the snowy hills and mountains, and lead you into Moonwreck territory. There is a new map I will make available now. It's called Moonwreck, Undead Activity.
Yeah.
How oddly fitting.
So I can copy pasta your tokens onto it.
Yeah.
So cheerio, undead activity.
Yes, so I think that the site, when you load it, will give you some indication of just how snowy it is.
Is it a little cold around here?
This is far away from home.
This is home. Although I prefer to be in the mountain.
You know, I don't envy you, Dwarf. I don't envy you.
It's a bit warmer inside.
Also, Aurelia.
Mostly stone walls.
Yeah.
So, as soon as you're leaving, as soon as your group is leaving the Hammer Falls and heading into this treacherous, pure snow terrain, you begin to feel pinpricks of pressure against all of your nerve endings in your body. Your sorcerer inclinations through the magic you have are beginning to spark with life, almost with vigor and joy. Even though you don't have a spell to cast. Damn it, you're full of, like, energy now. And you also hear it's not really, like any, like, thoughts or pressure, but, like, the chiding thoughts of this in your mind. Don't let this go to your head.
Oh.
Which feels faintly like Horizon.
Okay, then. Sure. I will ponder this later.
Yes, Jasmine, your mouth tastes of ice. But your skin feels pleasantly warm.
Oh, actually, this is actually not as bad. This is not as bad of a complication as I thought.
As I saw
So
these
you're drunk,
maps, I bought like a huge fur cloak in that town. Like, I'm not dressed for this place.
Yes.
I'll need like all the furs and wool and stuff.
This is horrific chill as you begin to trek your way through this area. Now, Geráck, it really seems like you would be the absolute best fitting person for this given situation. You give us some sort of like survival-y tracking type of skill check. This is literally your home environment as a leader of the Frost Range Companions. So why don't you roll secretly for me? A 1d20 plus your wisdom modifier, plus your level, plus that background.
Right, sure.
Don't get us lost in here. Oh.
Let's see, wisdom modifier.
Remember how we fail forward, folks, by losing recovery.
Well, even if we get lost, we can just climb up a mountain and look around, right?
I mean, I can lose recoveries. I can lose recoveries.
The particular problem here is that, like, you're only going to, like, some sort of, like, general, like, area that the Frost Fist, like, indicated to you. You have no idea what specifics, and he really hasn't given you much in the way of landmarks.
Like, follow the mountains. Like, yeah, great.
Okay. So, how many years has it been since you've been around your homeland? It's been like,
let's see,
2.5, 3 years?
Yeah, like slightly over 2.5 years now.
Yeah, because some time has passed during the campaign. Okay. So, Geráck's a little rusty. Perhaps he could consult his helmet if the helmet were actually talking to him and not holding a hissy fit. It seems like the ancestral knowledge of House Zold is gone, at least for now.
Yeah.
It's a little horrific, but you'll probably be fine. So, we're currently trekking in a high meadow. If you take the proper preparations, and you folks really haven't chatted about how you're going to be preparing for the immense and intense cold, other than a certain Aranas who mentioned a fur cloak.
I would assume that it's common sense to buy some thick clothing before.
I would not assume that, which is why go ahead and tell me now.
I didn't know what I was heading into. Surely Geráck would have all advised us to be prepared for this.
Would Geráck have advised everyone about, okay, so it's really fucking cold. I'm like, alright, I'll be fine. You don't understand. It's really fucking cold.
Yep. Geráck will probably have said that. Yep.
Okay. Well, let's see here.
I'm a fur ball.
In that case, I want all of you. This will be a DC 20, a Constitution skill check, with a level, a con modifier, and it'll be something pertaining to surviving in horrific weather conditions, like extreme cold.
Can I use a rejuvenation potion instead? Or does it work that way?
It recovers you as if you've slept for 8 hours in food and drink. Now, this is more of the extreme frost. If you were a druid, you'd be fine.
Yeah, I know.
Well, that's come up a few times.
Yes, this has come up before, just not for a while.
So, would you say, as the captain of the 9th Imperial Scout?
No, nothing has prepared you. Like, it does not get that cold around here.
I can't even argue.
But you know, Geráck has been here
I've never
before,
wanted
so
to go into mountains. I don't know why I would do that.
Like if you have like extreme weather conditions that you might have survived as an Imperial Scout, but it does not get this cold by the Midland Sea. Until last year, it's never been this cold.
It's true. It's true.
It's never stormed as bad as it is here, with constant blizzards and the random spurts of ball lightning that go flying across the chaotic realm. Magic is on the fritz here. Those of you who can cast divine spells feel a little disconnected with your magic, but not enough for it to have a mechanical penalty. If you were a wizard, you'd be fucked here.
Alright.
Like, the advice from Lord Editor and Lord Langsam wasn't kidding. Wizards don't come here. It's
Good
bad.
thing we didn't bring them then.
Yes. All of you did amazingly well in conquering the DC 20. As such, you will not suffer any horrific things, like losing a recovery, or forcing people who've succeeded on checks to re-roll their checks, or losing useful pieces of equipment, or having your food stolen, or encountering hungry dire wolves and dire bears.
It feels like a common problem.
Or causing a rock slide.
Yeah.
Or an ice bridge over a crevasse breaking.
Man.
Or even causing an avalanche. They're all good! How about that? Yes, this is a bad place, as it turns out.
You lived here!
And it gets worse the
Inside the mountain.
Yes,
Geráck,
Out here.
Geráck, your home is horrible.
This is not my home.
Madness.
And it gets worse the further you head north.
Need that cloak.
But I won't ask any of you to make another check. It's a rare turn of events where you all have crushed these skill checks, particularly...
First time ever.
This session we've had generally good luck.
We have.
It's
I
was a
don't
very
look
good thing
forward
you
to any
used that
session following
non-crit
this
thing
one.
last combat, though.
the gods are with the foolhardy, it seems.
Yes.
And taking you further up north. It's difficult at this point, however, to keep track of how many days have passed. This is a land of always winter, and this is a land that seems to be almost cloaked in perpetual either darkness or twilight. Sun rising and setting isn't particularly much a thing here. Now, Geráck would know that that's a recent change, too. It really does feel like it's colder up here, too. And not just around the Midland Sea. It could be the chaotic energies that are swirling through the Moonwreck. It could be a sign of even worse problems. Who can say? Maybe the Frost Giants are building an ancient artifact to turn the world into a giant snow globe. Who would know? Maybe the Frost Fist would.
Maybe. He has a point.
Yes. Now, well, you weren't given a specific landmark, and you're not entirely sure of how much time has passed. You four are able to huddle together and eat, and to start numerous fires along the way. And you do get into some minor combats. Primarily orcs, but also a few wild beasts who think of you as easy prey. And that turns out ended up being food for you. So you don't have to worry about hunting for food. It's pretty much It's pretty much every day, or at least some creature tries to take a shot at you. And you four are champion tier characters. You all rolled amazingly well. We don't have to worry about going into a combat. You're not going to lose a recovery. You managed to withstand all comers, as few of them as they are. As orcs kind of swaddled up in, like, whatever furs that they've taken from other creatures come at you. Then you kill them, and take their stuff. And then more people want your stuff because you have more stuff. The cycle continues.
Accumulate, like survival
like 20
gear.
layers of furs.
Yes, like so much blubber. That being said, while you were not given a specific landmark, you think you found the location one particular dusk. You think it's dusk. As it's a fairly clear day, and the sun does seem like it's setting over the mountain peaks. As you look out on the horizon, you just, like, crossed a ridge, and it's difficult to say. The entire ground, it's almost as if someone has opened up a quarry here. Just, like, one giant, like, quarry. You know what a quarry looks like, stone or marble. People just completely tunnel through the ground. They erase it ever being, like, an aesthetic feature. You really can't build on it. It just eats away at the dirt. And they take away the stone or the marble, and they have the beautiful ramps that lead down. Beautiful may be a bit of a stretch. That's exactly what's happened here, only there's multiple such sites, all adjacent to each other, and they are most certainly larger than what a typical quarry would be. As if a great force has, like dwarves, just decided one day, let's mine shit here. And but this really isn't of dwarven manufacture. It doesn't have, like, the ramps, even at this distance, don't really look like they have the exacting measurements. And it also doesn't really look like they hauled stone or marble, whoever did this, out of these quarry sites.
It's also quite hard to dig in such cold.
Yeah, it most certainly is. Yes.
Didn't want to take it out. What did they do with it?
At the around, you also see the frozen remnants of scaffolding, of equipment, of, like, immense, like, shovels and pickaxes that would be wielded by large or even huge-sized creatures.
So, isn't Moonwreck where the White is supposedly buried, or something? Isn't that a thing?
Legend would have it, and you would know, as affiliation with the Archmage, that the Wizard King and the White fought here. And this, it's a particular iffy. You have a relationship with the Archmage. Why don't you go ahead and roll that for me? Roll your Archmage dice.
No.
Aurelia really didn't pay this much attention in class. Like, this sounds like a not the 3 problem, so...
This really never was relevant to my work, so...
No. And none of you have a relationship with the Lich King, so a little bit iffy on that.
Would Geráck perhaps know because he sort of lived around this area?
Your Great Gold Worm would actually tangentially tie in. Why don't you go ahead and roll those dice?
Alright. No.
Geráck really didn't pay that much attention to this whole thing, either.
I have a Great Gold Worm dice. Perhaps one of the people I worked with in Concord came from this place.
Sure, you can go ahead and roll that.
I'm just gonna roll.
Looking for a 5 or a 6.
Roll a d6 here. Well, no.
Well, Aurelia asked that question. Perhaps the four of you look at each other. There's a lot of legend and confusion surrounding this whole affair. Certainly, it is thought by a prevalent number of historians, particularly those in Horizon, that the tyrannical Wizard King, before the First Age, fought the White, fought her, within this area. But none of you know the specific details surrounding that. It's highly doubted that anyone would know it, at any rate, except for the people who were there. But you don't even have enough, like, scholastic lore, like legend, to make a reasonable guess.
So, just to, like, these holes are, like, not full of rock, right?
No, they are
But you
emptied.
said that the rock hadn't been hauled out, as
No,
far as you could see?
it's as if that, let me rephrase it for you, then. These places are completely devoid of, like, material. There's, like, mounds of, like, dirt and shit that are, like, off to the side, or, like, small rocks and pebbles. But, yes, these holes are emptied. These are quarries, as if they were like quarries. You know, perhaps, like, a gigantic excavation site would be something else that you could perhaps think of.
So they are quarries, but the point was not to get rock.
Yes, that would be
Okay.
a correct interpretation.
So they're looking for someone, something.
What would be buried in pure, like, rock? That's not just something that happens.
That's not a question I didn't answer to. You could, of course, certainly go closer. As of right now, you don't see anything moving out there. There is enough sunlight to cast over this area, over the ridge. It's a fairly clear day.
Getting some inclination of who or what kind of creatures that this might be useful.
Giants.
I assume giants, yeah.
The tools are giant-sized.
They most certainly are.
Giants.
And, frost
giant
giants are
skeletons.
pretty much the only creatures who want to be here.
Well, I imagine the undead are not too bothered by cold.
Yeah, I guess.
They most certainly are not, unless it's so cold that it just outright freezes them.
If dead giants were to have worked here, I mean, let's go a little closer and maybe take a look at the work, like how, if it's like super sloppy, then probably undead didn't do it. Oh, well, then probably undead did do it. But if it's sort of decent craftsmanship, then...
Okay. The four of you walk closer to the site, perhaps attempting to find any tracks that might still exist, perhaps trying to find any equipment that might have been left behind. Like, many remnants of, like, food would at least tell you that living people were here. All four of you, whoever ends up stepping in the lead, who would be leading? Would be Geráck. Geráck would be the most reasonable leader for this.
Probably, yeah.
Geráck, as you're drawing ever closer and closing the distance in the quarries, you hear a hum. A snap of electricity suddenly crackles through the air, and a shimmering aura of violet light appears around the entire area, like covering this entire excavation site. And a translucent figure walks out of the air as if a small doorway were opened right in the center of all of this. It walks out, and a voice says, "Ah, I was wondering when my friends would finally arrive." A translucent shape, not whole. A bit see-through, sort of as if it was when you encountered Lord Zarza, when Dwohirim activated that ritual. He is clad in warm weather gear, and wielding a blade that would be all too familiar to those who fought alongside him.
Leon?
The head swivels. Yes, Geráck. Yes, Aurelia. It is I, Leon. Welcome. I can't really say to what. Perhaps the future? After all, this is partly your responsibility, the two of you.
How so?
I'll begin long form. I'm sure you know bits and pieces of the old stories. The translucent figure is walking close to me in a comfortable conversational distance. Before the ages started, the tyrannical Wizard King dueled the white here on the plains of the Howling North. Some historians would have you believe that the Wizard King was not content until he controlled everything. That while he built roads and raised forts against the monstrous wilderness, he filled them full of arcane police, exacting cruel punishments for crimes not yet committed. That while he guarded his empire through change and strife, he forged alliances with lawful and evil entities. That icons of that time, both brave and good, could not defeat his grace, so they fled to the only place they could. The translucent shape spins around him. Here. The white of the time, according to history, at least those snobs in Horizon, cared not for politics or power. No, white dragons were, would you believe it, philosophers, thinkers, dreamers. All that changed with the pleas of the great gold worm himself, warning his brethren of impending disaster, and begging that the white rise from her contemplative rest and act against the Wizard King before it was too late. I'll spare you speculative musings from Horizon's finest minds, how the gold and white organized a resistance against the Wizard King's arcane traps and teeming undead hordes. What they all agree on is that the resistance sorta lost. The white, bound in unholy chains, right here, lay prone before the Wizard King, while he prepared to break her will, until the white broke the incantation by consuming the Wizard King's very arm. Now, of course, the white didn't survive that, as history would suggest. The Wizard King lost his temper and completely obliterated the iconic dragon, cursing her and her kin for all time. In his rage, he could not even recover his arm, nor see that it had all been a trap, because the Elf Queen had created an Orc Lord to best him, because the Great Gold Worm had found a human leader who could unite the fractioned tribes and overthrow the evil kingdom. And so, throughout all the ages since, the Wizard King would never forgive the white for how she had brought his end. Of course, none of that is true. If it were, I wouldn't be here. Leon's face settles into a playful smirk, the expression of someone who knows something that you don't know.
In this moment of pause, Aurelia will turn around to Jasmine and Aranas and say, by the way, this is Leon. He used to travel with us, but he died and his corpse was stolen.
The same Leon that was mentioned by a Dwarf hero.
Yes.
Yes.
And was also mentioned when it came to that ritual.
Yes.
Leon places the tip of his sword down on the ground, where it's snow, although it doesn't leave any imprints on the snow in front of him. And says, "Oh yes, Dwohiram, do send him my love. He is partly responsible for this too."
Why am I not surprised?
Just as the two of you are, he says, pointing at Geráck and Aurelia, so don't get any ideas.
How will we be responsible for this?
Why, Geráck, it's rather quite simple. I am the product of an ages-old experiment to release the white from her horrid prison. She was the Wizard King's closest companion, and the jealous Gold slew her. His ancient wards and eldritch power kept anyone from tampering with her remains, even the Lich King. Until quite recently. You see, part of the requirement for getting the white's remains freed was the necessity of having a paladin, stout and pure, who followed the Great Gold Worm, his influence. And when you so deeply shared with my lord, the Prince of Forbidden Knowledge, newly crowned, I might add, you allowed us to tap into that which makes you, well, you, Geráck. And as did you for yours, Aurelia. A point being that we managed to finish the excavation far sooner than anticipated. Would have taken, oh gosh, been here for months, feels like. Not too long ago, though, we got the remains free. And finally, after all these ages of research, we have a way to bring her back. Honey, if you would come over here, please. And sort of like stepping into translucent shadow as well, would be a character that none of yours would recognize, but perhaps had heard stories of. An individual so noble and pristine, walking up next to Leon, and Leon wrapping his arm around her waist, and Ursilia pressing her head against his shoulder. This is Lady Ursilia Melkor, the Baroness of Blood. She's due for a promotion as well for her work. As for what I'm lying, take a look around you. Consult the history text yourself, Geráck. Your power is what allowed us to break the final chains holding the White's remains. Her soul will be brought back by the Wizard King himself and thrust into those remains. And then the White shall ride again. Haven't you ever wondered why it's getting so cold? I wondered too, in my numerous, well, really my last life. Now I see the whole picture. Now the process has been completed. And I see all. And I certainly see how your influence and decisions have helped. Thank you, Geráck. And thank you, Aurelia, for making my dreams real, and for promoting my lord and my wife, and allowing the Wizard King to reclaim his closest confidant. There is a new age coming, one of winter and ice, and I think you two could be a part of it, after everything you've done. Now, there's no need for a rush. I'm sure that this flash of history ramming into your minds can rattle you and disturb you. Indeed, it did so for me as well. But then again, I've had many a lifetime to contemplate life. And I have all the gratitude in the world for Ursilia, as well as Lord Zarza, for their devotion to choosing me to be the experiment that would bring the White back to life. How about make up your minds one way or the other? I'll be waiting for you. I'm sure you might remember where I said Lord Zarza lived. I'll be right there on that doorstep, Hexen blade in hand, and probably Ursilia at my side too. Wait for your answer. You're welcome to take a look around here as you'd like. If there's any competent magicians among you lot, now that I'm gone and it seems Dwohiram as well, you could most certainly verify what I have told you. I would say I did expect you sooner, though. It was close. Those Bergship raiders, if they had not been around, we would not have been able to get the White's remains to the necropolis. But thankfully, we had just enough time, even after borrowing your power. Appreciate it. Really, you have done more than I could recount.
I should have known.
You might think the Icon's powerless to stop your plans, however I know that the Free would not welcome another of their kind among them.
Oh, Aurelia. Sure. You're right. Why wouldn't you be? You've been right about everything up to this point. How about you worry about the icons you hold most dear? I'll worry about mine. Maybe we can find some middle ground. Immortality isn't that bad when you come to think about it, Aurelia. What do you say? Geráck? How about you two back there? Aurelia and Geráck must have chosen you for a purpose. We could find some use for you, I'm sure.
Looks with a very stern look at Geráck.
Just looks toward the figure standing in the snow ahead, glowing. Says, your temptation will only make our resolve stronger. I thank you for that.
The two look at each other, and their smiles do not fade.